Madam Speaker, I rise to lead the debate of and have read for a second time in this Honourable House the bill shortly titled Integrity in Public Life Amendment Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, the Integrity in Public Life Act was passed in 2013. In summary, as currently worded, the Act establishes the Integrity Commission and provides a regime by which public officials are required annually to file declarations with their income, assets, liabilities, and private interess. The Integrity Commission is tasked with reviewing those declarations year by year to determine if any new information suggests that the public official has gained unexplainable wealth. Madam Speaker, I feel it necessary to clarify what unexplainable wealth is. For example, a director of audit may in his or her 2023 declaration declare ownership of one house, one vacant parcel of land, and one car. However, in his or her 2024 declaration, the Director of Audit could declare ownership of 3 houses, 2 vacant parcels of land, and 3 cars. If the Director of Audit does not state in the declaration how the increase in assets occurred, the Integrity Commission could invite the declarant to explain. The declarant could very well arrive at the Commission's office with a will in hand for his or her recently deceased great-aunt who left her or him 2 houses, 1 vacant parcel of land, and 2 cars. That wealth gain is explainable. Similarly, a leader of the opposition may declare in 2023, and I was hoping the leader of the opposition was here, I would have increased the numbers, but for the example, I'll pretend like he's not here, and declare net worth of $2 million US, for example.
That's too low.
I know, but he's not here.
You covered.
For example, I'll add a 0. The leader of the opposition may declare in because we wanted to be realistic. The leader of the opposition may declare in 2023 a net worth of $20 million US. And in 2024 could declare a net worth of $30 million US. But that gain could be gains from the stock market, profits from shares owned in a business that has no business dealings with the government, or proceeds from a sale of land. The point of the Commission is to ensure that those gains are not from corrupt activity. That is why the Commission has the authority to investigate, inquire as to the accuracy of declarations, summons and examine witnesses, and refer to the Director of Public Prosecutions or the Special Prosecutor now any activity they consider amounts to an offense. The Act also contains a code of conduct for public officials. Currently, the Integrity in Public Life Act remains without teeth. As even though the Integrity Commission is set up and they have an office with requisite staff and funding, no date has yet been set for declarations to be filed by public officials. The aim of the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Bill 2023 is to set the initial date for declarations to be submitted by high-level public officials, being July 31st, 2023. And to provide for other amendments made at the request, I want to make this clear, at the request of the Integrity Commission. Madam Speaker, I say high-level public officials because the bill reduces the number of persons who are required to file declarations. With the original Act, the Integrity Commission estimated that approximately 1,400 people would be caught in the net. Now that number should be less than 200 people. The bill also amends the definitions of children and spouses whose financial information also forms part of the declarations. For example, Madam Speaker, a child is amended, and these were recommendations from the Integrity Commission, and we will hear today another view as to the definition of child, which I have had discussions with a member from the other side for, but will not steal that person's thunder. But they were very good points, and I think it's important. This is true democracy at work. Parliament has a break. Members from the other side have a conversation about a clause in a potential bill and work it out. I don't know what is a greater example of democracy than that. The recommendation from the Integrity Commission that child is to mean a child of a public official, including a stepchild, an adopted child, or a child born out of wedlock, of whom the father has been adjudged the father by a court of competent jurisdiction, or of whom the father has acknowledged to be his own child, who, A, is under the age of 18 years and is not married, or B, is under the age of 25 and not married, and is pursuing a course of higher education at an accredited university or college. That was the language proposed by the Integrity Commission. But we'll hear more on that later, Madam Speaker. With respect to the definition of spouse, it was amended to mean a person to whom the person in public life is married or living with in a common law relationship for a period of 5 years immediately preceding the period that a declaration is required to be filed, but does not include a spouse living separate and apart from the person in public life for a period exceeding 3 years. So if you break up, 3 years, more than 3 years has gone, your spouse or your common law wife does not have to be part of your declaration. And a spouse who ceased to live with the person in public life and proceedings have been instituted for divorce or judicial separation during the period in which a declaration is required to be filed. So you're getting a divorce, you no longer have to include your wife who you're divorcing or your husband who you're divorcing. The amendment also provides for further professional qualifications required for a person to sit on the Integrity Commission. This is something that the government thought was very important because, Madam Speaker, the Integrity Commissioners have all of your business. They know what's in your bank accounts at a particular time of year. They know what properties are in your name. They know what vehicles are in your name. If you have stocks, if you have this, you have that. Very, very confidential information the Integrity Commission has. So what we want to ensure is that the persons who are chosen to be Integrity Commissioners have integrity and have practiced for a significant amount of time in a profession in which they were bound by confidentiality and ethical principles. So the proposed amendment recommends that those types of persons be appointed to the Integrity Commission, and so that they can continue in the way that they have been practicing in their professional career to be able to keep information confidential. The amendment proposes that one member be appointed on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, who must be a person who practices or has retired from practicing as a lawfully licensed professional, subject to a code of confidentiality, code of conduct, code of ethics, or other similar regulations for at least a period of 15 years, including a medical doctor licensed to practice medicine in a Commonwealth jurisdiction, Canada or the United States, an attorney at law licensed to practice in the same places, a chartered public accountant, a banker recognized as a finance industry professional, or a professional engineer licensed to practice engineering. And one member appointed on the recommendation of the leader of the opposition, who must be a person with the same qualifications listed above. Madam Speaker, confidentiality is key. This is a fear of many persons, particularly non-public servants, like chairpersons of statutory corporations. However, and this is also important to note, Madam Speaker, the bill provides that the declaration filed with the Commission and the records of the Commission in respect of those declarations are secret and confidential and shall not be made public. When I spoke earlier, Madam Speaker, I spoke to you about visiting the Integrity Commission. The Prime Minister visited with me. I think it was in September 2022. They have a safe room with a fingerprint code to get in and a passcode, which will be the filing place for these declarations. Because, Madam Speaker, you are on the list. And I'm sure you don't want the newspapers and the gossip blogs and the fake profiles to have your information, even though your information is probably in the great green, like the member for number 3. Some of us might have declarations that might be in the red, and we might not. But, Madam Speaker, the point is, this is a great fear, especially in a small society. And the amendments to the legislation contemplate making it serious for this information to not be divulged. So, the integrity commissions have to be serious persons who have practiced for a long time in a particular area, as well as there is a serious offense for divulging information in relation to the declarations, so that persons can feel comfortable, Madam Speaker, in filling out their form and providing their information, and they know it's really just for the purpose of showing to the Integrity Commission that you have done nothing wrong, and everything you have or don't have is based on legitimate and non-corrupt ways of doing your business in life. Madam Speaker, the full activation of the Integrity in Public Life Act 10 years later is therefore an important legislative pillar of protection of our people against corrupt officials. And to wrap up, Madam Speaker, I want to say, when I had very early discussions with the Integrity Commission, they said to me 1,400 people just did not make sense. They would not be able to sift through all of that information. And that is when we had the first discussion, and I told them about the idea of the Anti-Corruption Act. All of these pieces of legislation work together. The Anti-Corruption Act, which is now an act, covers the entire public service and all high-level public officials. The Integrity in Public Life Act now covers high-level officials only. And the reason for that is high-level officials have the greatest opportunity to be corrupt. They are the ultimate decision makers. They are the ones who could potentially take bribes and act in corrupt ways. So the Integrity Commission now will be charged with looking at less than 200 declarations, year by year, and being able to tell the people of this country that the people in the highest offices in the land are doing things the right way. And that is the purpose of all of this. That is the purpose of the good governance legislation. That is the purpose of us taking this step. And Madam Speaker, this is not an easy step for any government to take. Because at the end of the day, we are the government. This applies to us. Sometimes government wait till they're going out to do these things. But we are telling the people of this country there will be no corruption in this government. And we are willing to put our money where our mouth is by passing the legislation that will govern us, to show the people we are serious about doing good for them, and this is not about personal gain. Madam Speaker. And with those few words, I pray for the bill's safe passage.